now feels much more like home. Before we felt like we were on holiday, but now we feel like this is where we live and we work, and the children go to school, and we know the routine here probably a little bit better now than we would if we went back to the UK. So everything's a lot more familiar, and we have a lot of friends here. And so I guess our roots are going deeper. Every year we've been here, the roots go down, and we feel we belong here more than ever. I think every year that goes by, you sort of always feel that if we went back to the UK, it's very familiar and very easy to live there, but here now is also becoming very easy, very familiar, and very much like home.
Question. But I think when we arrived, it was making friends. It was the language and understanding what the culture had to communicate to people. People here, you might say the same thing, but it means something completely different to them. So. And I think 3.5 years in, there's probably still the issues really.
Yeah.
But we're a lot further on in it. So the language, we can communicate easily, generally one-to-one, very easily. But there's still lots that's said that you don't understand. Preaching is a different kettle of fish altogether. So although we preach every week in Spanish, still, there's still a way for us to go to become good at that. I think friendships, we feel very blessed with our friends. They're great, and I think they genuinely love us, and we definitely genuinely love them. Genuinely love being a part of that culture. And I think that the challenge for that is to move those relationships onto a place where they are becoming meaningful in us expressing our faith to them. And challenging where their faith is. And so those are kind of the areas really.
Right.
We've got a good level of friendship, but we want to impact their lives. Going cross-cultural it's one of the best things you can do, because it actually forces you to take off your own cultural glasses and learn how to think like someone else does. And I honestly believe it's absolutely critical. Jesus became one of us. He spent 30 years, he grew, he learned how to speak, he was a part of that culture and understood it. Although he was the Son of God, he became one of us and went through that whole process in order to save us. And I think that's part of cross-cultural mission. You become a part of a community, and you have to be accepted, and you have to bond to that community. I read something recently. When a baby is born, it becomes dependent on its mum and dad, and it bonds very quickly because of that dependency. And my experience personally is, if you throw yourself into a community cross-culturally in a way that you are dependent on them to help you, you find yourself bonding with those people, and they like to receive you because you're not just coming with this big message and this big Bible, and they open their hearts to you, and at the end of the day our message is one that impacts their heart. And I think we've bonded with the culture because we've done that. We've lent on our Spanish friends, and they have opened their hearts to us, and we've done that to them. And I think, if I'm honest, that's absolutely critical, because that's the only way people will receive the message, is if they see you care enough about them to become part of them.
Well, I guess we came over 3 years ago as a family, and slowly we gathered a team, a very English team, very English speaking team, and then we gathered other people that were already in the city, and we grew, so we then had to meet in 2 houses, which was good fun. I don't think our neighbours appreciated it very much. And now we, like you say, we meet in a locale, and that's amazing because it's in the centre of town, and it's a place where you can invite lots of people, and Spanish speakers have started coming, and we have some Madrileños coming, which is amazing. However, we're still very top-heavy English people, and I guess that is the slow turn around, really, of hopefully we become the minority whilst the Spanish people become the majority, and then start taking on an important role in the church and start leading it and start it becoming completely Spanish, so that people wouldn't ever know that it was planted by English people, really. And we're a long way off that yet.
It's very new days here. Okay, so this is new frontiers. If I'm honest, when we came into Madrid, in terms of commission, there's nothing else in Spain. And there was one other church plant in terms of New Frontiers, which was going on in Valencia. So it's very, very new days. There's a number of churches or church plants as well in Portugal, and a few things that people are looking on with and connecting with. And so us moving into the centre has kind of helped to gel that a bit. And it feels exciting, to be honest. It feels very exciting. Guy comes over for a conference once a year. He comes to Madrid once a year to serve us as well, with other people coming in and out. And you can tell that something is happening, and there's a real sense of actually apostolic mission is advancing into new territory. That's exciting. It's not just in maintenance mode, which I think for years and years and years, Spain and Portugal have suffered from very independent works that are done by good guys who persevered through many hard years, but was very maintenance focused. So there's very small churches, lots of little ones, but this seems to be in a very, very exciting stage. But very early days as well, very early days. Very fragile, relationships are stretched and far apart. It's not always easy to get together. Training is difficult, prayer and fasting is difficult. Getting everybody together is just, there's all sorts of practical challenges. But when we do get together, there's a growing sense of God's on this. And, I'm genuinely very, very excited about not just what God's doing here, but the relationships we're building in South America have been key for us, and we feel that growing will be key for them. Just feels like God's grace is on it, and even though it's very early days.
Okay, so personally I think we've done a church plant before in the UK, so it's I know what it's like, and it's sort of at that stage where everything revolves around Kev a bit, and so he kind of has to keep everything going, all the plates spinning, and though we've come a lot more chilled and a lot more, God's going to do this, it's not about us. I think we can easily fall into the trap of being very busy very quickly, and it's just really important, isn't it, that we just keep our focus right, that it's not about success and failure, it's about loving God and looking after the children and doing what God's called us to do, and not getting overwhelmed. And we both do it, don't we? We're both in it, heart and soul, in the church plant, and we just have to every so often take stock and think get our priorities right sometimes, and not get too busy too quickly.
I think for the church, I think probably we're very encouraged. We're really grateful for what we've seen. In many ways, it's gone beyond what we would have dreamed so far. God's taken us ahead of where we thought we might be. Probably the big next step for us is, as Ness has already said, the much more of a Spanish or Spanish speakers, particularly in our Sunday meetings. In every other meeting we're outnumbered by Spanish speakers or Spanish people, but our Sundays are still not at that place, and although there's a healthy number coming in and out, we would like that to really turn quite heavily. So pray for some Spanish people, pray for men and women of peace. That's what Jesus said. You know, that's his tactic, people who are in the culture, and, you know, Santiago, who we've met, is one of those, you know. But we need some more who would just become a part of us. Young Spanish people particularly would be just you know, potential future leaders.
Right.